I rise today to speak about a topic, and in fact a right that we get to exercise every day in this House as a privilege, something that is actually fundamental to our democracy, and that is freedom of speech. ACT has always been and always will be a leading voice in Parliament for the protection of this fundamental democratic value of freedom of speech. And why am I talking about this today? Well, during the recess, something very exciting happened. Something very, very exciting happened, and that was the University of Otago, my old university, now led by a former member of this House, the Honourable Grant Robinson, released its free speech policy on the 10th of July. A wonderful, wonderful document, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute. Freedom of speech is really a core classical liberal value, and it needs to be protected in any democratic nation. Freedom of speech is protected in New Zealand under the Bill of Rights, and a number of people will know that that's Section 14, the freedom of expression. Everyone has the right to freedom of expression, including the freedom to speak, receive, and impart information and opinions of any kind, of any form. And again, we do that every day in this House, and we see robust debates, often of ideas that we don't agree with, but they're allowed to be expressed, and we try to win each other over. Freedom of expression obviously has a long history. I was looking back today, and there's a few things, a few kind of points in time I just wanted to point out, which I think are very, very interesting. Way back in 399 BC, Socrates, actually speaking to the jury in his trial, said this, which is great. If you offered to let me off this time on the condition that I no longer speak my mind, I should say to you, men of Athens, I shall obey the gods rather than you. He was prepared to be sentenced to some horrific sentence rather than be silenced. Another obviously famous one that people will be familiar with is Voltaire, where he says, I detest what you write, but I will give my life to make it possible for you to continue to write, which is a great sentiment of actually being tolerant about others' views. Our Bill of Rights, freedom of expression, obviously is built on the Universal Declaration for Human Rights, which in 1948, again, gave a number of rights, including the freedom of expression. Another last quote I'm going to use before I return back to the University of Otago is actually Noam Chomsky, which again, probably not such a... Noam Chomsky, yes, sorry. Probably not such a great liker of some of the politics that ACT espouses, but what he actually did say was this, which I love. Goebbels was favouring free speech for the views he liked. So was Stalin. If you're in favour of free speech, then you're in favour of freedom of speech precisely for the views you despise. That's right. And it does remind me of some other, members on the other side of the House when they did actually try to bring in hate speech laws, which again this government got rid of, which would have actually severely undermined the rights of Kiwis to have a free and open debate. Now, I do want to just return to the University of Otago. As I said, they put out this excellent policy, and I hope it actually will be a blueprint for other universities in New Zealand to follow. Some of the wonderful things they say is free speech is the lifeblood of a university. It enables the exploration of ideas, the challenging of assumptions, the uncovering of truth through open exchange. It allows students, teachers and researchers to know a better variety of beliefs, theories and opinions of the world. I think that's a great sentiment. They then go on to talk about another great line is the university is not a place for safety from ideas. And time again, I think we've seen too many universities actually try to censor free speech and not let the free and open debate of ideas. Immediately, my colleague Pamjit Palmer put out a statement welcoming this in her role as university spokesperson. I just want to end with this. Our education system must prepare young people for a life in a liberal democracy. That requires the practice in expressing and contesting of all kinds of ideas, many of which will be unappealing and some will even be upsetting. We must develop their resilience so they can be productively converse with those whom they vehemently disagree, like we do in this House every day. We must teach them to express their own arguments and counter-arguments. Thank you.